Hi Stampers, this is Dawn from Dawn's Tipping Net, and today we're going to make the slider card. Love it. And then I went ahead and made two Halloween versions of this card. I was going to make this video with the Halloween card, but I went ahead with the Christmas one since we made this card yesterday, and I love that designer paper. But here's the Halloween version. Cute. And I did the exact same card, but I did it with the black. Cute. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and make the Christmas version. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I'm using the Presents and Pinecones designer paper, double-sided. And this piece is cut at 5.5 by 8.5. Then you're going to need 2 pieces of Whisper White. This piece is cut at 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. And then this piece of Whisper White is cut at 2 3/8 by 4. And then I'm using another piece of the Presents and Pinecones designer paper, and this is cut at 1 3/4 by 2 3/8. Okay, so let's grab our paper trimmer. Okay, so we're going to be scoring across the 8.5 inch side across the top on your paper trimmer. Okay, so we're going to take this edge over here. We're going to score this at 8 inches. Okay, then we're going to slide it down to 4. Okay, now we're going to cut. So now we're going to slide the paper back down to 7 1/4. Okay, so we're going to take our blade for our cutting, not the scoring. So we're going to cut this time. So you have your 7 1/4 over here. Then on your arm you have this measurement. So we're going to start at 3/4 of an inch. Let me see here. I got to get a piece of white here to see right where I'm. There we are. Okay, so 3/4 right there. I don't have this one marked yet. Okay, so 3/4. And then we're going to cut down to 4 3/4. Okay. Then we're going to slide this down to 4 3/4 over here. And we're going to cut the exact same thing. So we're going to cut at 3/4 of an inch. Hopefully that's good. Let me get my Whisper White piece here. I don't want to put my head in the camera. Okay, so 3/4. Okay, so 3/4 down to 4 3/4. Okay. So then the 1/2 inch over here where we scored at 8 inches, this is where we're going to put our tear and tapes. Let me grab that. So we're just going to put a strip of that right here. Okay, so then your card is going to be folded like this. So this is going to be the actual front of your card, like that. Okay, so now we're going to cut our 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. This is the 4 3/4 inch across the top, and we're going to cut this, line it up at 2 inches, and then we're going to almost cut it all the way through, not quite. So you're going to leave it attached about that much. Okay. All right, I think that's all the cutting. Okay, so now we're going to take our base of our card. We're going to take this piece here that we cut. We're going to slide this 2 inch piece that we cut at 2 inches. We're going to slide this to the front of the card, then flip it over. Then you're going to line this up with where we cut, and I'm just going to take some tear and tape, and you're going to kind of mend that back together. And I'm going to put a piece over here too. Okay, so then this is going to make your sliding part of your card. Super cute. All right, then we're going to go ahead and layer this piece onto the front, just like that. Let me grab my snail. Okay, and then this piece, your 2 3/8 by 4 inches, this is going to go behind that slider. But you don't want to put it down permanently yet, because you want to make sure that you want to do a test run with your slider. Let me pull this in the center. So you're placing this piece right in the middle of those cut lines. Okay, so we're just going to kind of temporarily put it there and then just do a test run to make sure that this slider here covers all the insert there. Yep, and it does. Okay, so you see what I'm saying? Then you can go ahead and adhere that down. Because when you pull it one way or the other, you just don't want any of this showing on the opposite side. Okay. All right, now we're going to go ahead and punch our hole. So you're just going to fold this back. Let me grab a punch. Okay, I have my cookie cutter filler punch here. We're just going to go ahead and center this between those two cut lines. Punch that out. Then with this still folded, because we don't want to punch that out, I'm just going to go ahead and fold that over and then just punch that out again. Okay, so now we have our little pull. So when this is sticking out here like that, they know to pull that. Super cute. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and seal up our card. So we're going to peel off the backing of the tearing tape. Fold this over, and then this folds over on top of that. Okay, so then when it's pulled, it looks like that. Love it. All right, now we're going to go ahead and do some stamping. We're going to use the Emerald Envy Classic ink, and the stamp set we're using is Christmas Pines. Love this stamp set. And then remember, it has Pretty Pines thinlits that coordinate with the stamp set, and you can buy them both in a bundle and save 10%. Then we're going to use these in a second. I'm just going to go ahead and stamp first. And I think, let me see here, may your Christmas sparkle with joy and happiness. Yeah, we're going to stamp this up here. Okay, then we're going to pull the card up so that message gets hidden. And then we're going to stamp this one, Tidings of Comfort and Joy. I'll stamp this. Make sure this is straight. Okay, so now this one says, may the simple joys of the season be yours. We're going to stamp this down here in this box. Okay, so then when it opens and closes, looks like that. Okay, so let's grab the Big Shot. Okay, so we're going to use the Emerald Envy for the branches, and then the crumb cake, and then also the cherry cobbler for the bow. Just going to cut these out here really quick. So we're going to use this one for the pine cone. I'm going to cut 2 of those out. So now there's 3 different sizes of the branches. We're going to use the 2 smaller sizes than the large. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and cut 2 of the different sizes out, 2 of each. Okay, so let's bring our pieces in. Now we're just going to layer our 2 pine cones. Don't you love the way that looks? I'm going to sponge those 2 pine cones. Okay. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and build our pieces together. 2 pine cones together like that. And then we're just going to build our branches off to the side. Okay, and then we're just going to put this with some adhesive on the back with the snail, the bow. I'm going to grab some dimensionals. And then this is going to go right on the front of that panel like that. So then it moves just like that. Okay, so we're going to use the Emerald Envy. This is the ruched ribbon. Just going to cut a little snippet off of that. I'm going to crisscross it and kind of position it where I need it. Pull it open and then take my stapler and just staple that. You can trim that down too some more if you want. Super cute. Now the only thing I did different on my finished one over here is that I added some Wink of Stella to the bow and the leaves. How cute. Okay, so there's the Christmas version of the card. And then here's the Halloween slider cards. Okay, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you later. Bye.